Hey everybody, Rob Maurer here, and today we are going to be talking about some new comments from Elon Musk on FSD Beta. We've also got an interesting demonstration from Tesla on Powerwall installation, some news on Tesla in India, and a couple other items as well. All right, looking at the stock, rough day for the markets, Tesla down 2.67%, closing at $254.11, while the Nasdaq was down about 2.2% on the day, so not too bad of an underperformance from Tesla given the beta. Obviously a tougher day in the markets today, probably largely stemming from, as I'm sure many people have heard by now, the downgrade from Fitch of the United States long-term debt rating to AA plus from AAA. So they still have a stable outlook on this debt, but kind of interesting to see this downgrade. They say that this reflects the expected fiscal deterioration over the next 3 years, a high and growing general government debt burden, and the erosion of governance relative to AA to AAA rated peers over the last 2 decades that has manifested in repeated debt limit standoffs and last-minute resolutions. So, of course, we had the debt ceiling, drama happen recently. It's interesting that, this downgrade has happened. I think it's hard to argue with at least this summary point here, but, a little bit beyond the scope of what we're talking about here for Tesla Daily, but interesting nonetheless. And then we did also have a jobs report number today that came in a lot higher than expected. So that may have influenced a little bit of the reaction in the stock market today, as of course, higher job growth might lead to a little bit more leeway for increased interest rates from the Fed as we head into the next meeting. Of course, it'll be a while in September. So still plenty of economic reporting to come out before then, but that could probably, lead the market to believe that there's a little bit more flexibility for further increases of rates from the Fed. All right, so getting into the Tesla news, probably the most interesting comment today coming from Elon Musk on the progress for FSD. So they've talked about, integrating neural networks into the planning portion of FSD Beta. Elon commenting a little bit on that today, saying that, quote, vehicle control is the final piece of the Tesla FSD AI puzzle that will drop greater than 300,000 lines of C++ control code by about 2 orders of magnitude. It is training as I write this. Our progress is currently training compute constrained, not engineering constrained, end quote. So a little bit more context on what Elon has mentioned before of kind of end-to-end neural networks or end-to-end AI, which, we've talked quite a bit about. And hopefully this is what would comprise FSD Beta version 12, which Elon has said that he has now tested the alpha version of. So obviously they've got, a long way to go from where they're at today with this 300,000 lines of C++ code into neural network coding, but hopefully that can happen relatively quickly. And because they do have that alpha version out already to Elon, that does seem to be happening at least to an extent already. And on the training piece of it, of course, as we have talked about, Tesla's training capabilities are about to expand very, very dramatically. As July marked the start of Dojo production, as we have previously talked about. Over the next quarter, we should see Tesla's training compute power increase by, probably 3-fold. And then in the next 6 months from there, probably 10-fold roughly from where we're at right now. So hopefully a lot of these things correlate with some pretty dramatic progress in FSD over that period of time. It's probably going to take longer than what Elon hopes, than what all of us would hope, but I think it's exciting to see the path that they are on, and a lot of reasons to feel confident in that path with what we have seen Tesla do so far with neural networks on the perception piece of FSD Beta, which, these days does seem to be performing pretty extremely well. So hopefully that can then carry over into the planning system, and we can start to see, continue to see some pretty dramatic step changes in FSD Beta. So looking forward to that, and interesting to hear these continued comments from Elon on that progress. All right, next we've got an update from Tesla Energy's Twitter account today, talking about Powerwall installations and the way that they've been able to pretty dramatically reduce installation times for Powerwall with part of the Powerwall component set called backup switch. So it's a little bit beyond my understanding in terms of the electrical work that needs to be done. But they do show a demo video that just shows 2 side-by-side installations happening, one with the gateway component of Powerwall, and this, on the right with the backup switch. And on the left, they have a 4-hour installation to, install it in that way, but with backup switch, they were able to cut the installation down to just 21 minutes. So more than a 10-fold improvement in terms of the installation time with the backup switch. So Tesla does give us a little bit of details on this. I'm not sure how long this product has been out, but I don't remember talking about it previously. Tesla does say that it's a new component in the Tesla Powerwall system that facilitates backup power functionality by quickly and safely disconnecting your home from the grid when a power outage is detected. The system then automatically shifts your home energy use to backup power from your Powerwall. They do say that this is a whole home system, so it isn't possible to integrate in this way with partial backup systems. And they also say, comment on the installation time. Although the video was, 4 hours to 20 minutes, they do talk about in this the possibility of dropping installation time from, in some cases, 10 hours for a Powerwall system down to about 1 hour, presumably in a little bit more complex scenarios in those cases. And then, of course, if you want a little bit more information on what exactly the backup switch is, Tesla does break it down a little bit in terms of the pieces of that component of the system on the website. So plenty of information. There's also more information on this in the owner's manual if you're someone that's interested in Powerwall and potentially thinking about implementing one of these systems. Obviously, that would result in some pretty big savings, at least on the installation cost side. So nice to see Tesla continuing to make progress there. Hopefully we hear a little bit more about progress with Powerwall, and if there's maybe a Powerwall 3 on their horizon. I think that's been teased a couple of times, particularly at Investor Day, where Tesla had a couple of energy products on their roadmap that were sort of covered. So hopefully we get a little bit more information on some of those things pretty soon. All right, next we do have a little bit more information out of India, as we continue to do, but this is a report out of India saying that Tesla has leased some office space in Pune, and this office space is about 6,000 square feet, located in a relatively prestigious or prominent commercial hub in Pune. So interesting to see this. Obviously, the business there is, sort of pre-launch, I would say. But for Tesla to now start implementing some office space, we've talked previously about some hires that have been made. Elon has said directly that they are hoping to make investments in India sort of as soon as possible. So all signs are continuing to point to progress there in India. So interesting to see that report, and hopefully one of many that we'll see in the future. And then sort of relatedly, I guess not really, but in terms of Tesla's expansion, there is an update from the Los Angeles Daily News that Tesla has filed a permit for transforming what used to be a pretty significantly sized movie theater into a new service center for vehicles. So maybe not as exciting for the general public, but exciting for Tesla. This is going to be a 118,000 square foot facility for automotive repair and service that it would be replacing, again, this movie theater. So we've seen, a number of these types of facilities pop up of this scale and even a little bit larger scale over the last few months. So kind of interesting exciting to see those types of things continue. All right, next we've got an update on Model 3 wait times in Europe. Tesla Chan on Twitter noting today that wait times have extended. I'm not sure exactly what they were previously, but now they're all the way out into Q4, and in some cases even extending into potentially early Q1 on the Model 3 performance, which is interesting given, of course, the talk of downtime happening this quarter from the earnings call, and we've hopefully seen a little bit of that already at Fremont. Of course, Europe would be supplied by Giga Shanghai's production, and what's been happening there with Model 3 has been a little bit unclear. We had the previous rumors that there were shutdowns for Highland, and that didn't really seem to materialize in Q2, but perhaps now that is contributing to maybe a lower projected inventory flow of Model 3 from Giga Shanghai into Europe, which then could lead to extended wait times showing in the design studio. So interesting to see that, and we'll continue to keep an eye on Model 3 wait times in general, as that could happen in other markets and could be indicative of something similar. And then the last couple of things, interesting update on Rivian and Tesla today. So the most recent news between these two companies, of course, was Rivian's adoption of NACS as their charging standard, which they'll integrate into the vehicles starting in 2025. But everything is not rosy between the two quite yet, because Tesla's lawsuit of Rivian and some former Tesla employees continues over potential breaching of non-disclosure agreements. And I don't know if it's poaching or how specifically Tesla is framing it in the lawsuit, but basically claiming that Rivian is essentially stolen trade secrets through the process of hiring these employees, particularly relating to Tesla's next-gen battery systems. And of course, there were also some things about Tesla's organizational structures and processes and things like that that were a part of this lawsuit as well. So Anyway, there's a ruling on this today that denied the employee's request for a summary adjudication ruling, which would have dismissed the claims. So this is, for now at least, proceeding. I think that ruling still needs to be confirmed, but if that is confirmed, it sounds like this would be on track to then potentially go to trial. So that will continue to be a story that we'll continue to stay updated on. And then the last item is that, unrelated to Tesla, but for XAI, kind of an interesting development here. AI.com, which had previously pointed to ChatGPT, now redirects to X.AI, which is a little bit unclear. I'm not sure exactly if anyone knows exactly what's happening with this. If Elon had this domain and had previously been pointing it for some reason to ChatGPT as kind of a result of, his past involvement with OpenAI, and maybe that was just something that never really got updated or fixed, and now is being corrected. Or perhaps Elon acquired this from OpenAI, which I don't know why OpenAI would then be willing to sell that to Elon, because obviously he's starting a competitor here, which he was clear that he was doing on that Twitter space. So kind of an interesting dynamic that I'm not exactly sure how it transpired, but interesting to see AI.com, which is like X.com, pretty prominent domain name, now pointing to X.AI. All right, that'll wrap it up for today then. As always, thank you for listening. Make sure you're subscribed and signed up for notifications. You can also find me on X at Tesla Podcast. And we'll see you tomorrow for the Thursday, August 3rd episode of Tesla Daily. Thank you.